Yes, I want to talk about Donald Trump. A lot of these false preachers and prophets are saying that Donald Trump will never be president. See, but they don't know. God sets up who he wants to be president in America and elsewhere. Let me read to you what the Bible is saying. They talk about Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel chapter 5 and verse 21. It's in many places in Daniel, other places too. Now it says this, and he was driven from the sons of men. He talk about Nebuchadnezzar. And his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruleth in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. See, God appoint who he want to be king in America and all other nations. This is what these false preachers and prophets, they can't see, the people can't see. You know, and just like all these establishments, they want Hillary Clinton to be in office. You know, most all the people, especially the black people, they want Hillary Clinton to be in office. But God put who he want to be in office, give the kingdom to who he will. And nothing you can do about it. God ruleth in the kingdom of men. He sets up king. You know, he give it to who he want to give it to. And nothing nobody can do about it. So I think like Donald Trump, it's time for the fight Iran, Donald Trump. God will give the kingdom to Donald Trump. And nothing nobody can do about it. Because we done fell into sin. We promote homosexuality, all adultery, fornication, all other sin, lying, stealing, backbiting, everything else. You see in there about running for president, how they all lie to each other, just lie about every little thing. They can't tell the truth no more. We done fell into sin, this generation. So God, like I said, God give the kingdom to who he will. So let me read to you in Daniel, I think chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8, I think in verse 21 it says, and the he-goat and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. See, the first king was George Bush when he fought Iraq. He defeated Iraq. And Iraq now dismantled. You know, his kingdom now is not functioning, you know. So he was the first king. See, it was the he-goat fought the ram. The ram had two horns. One horn was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. See, George Bush fought the first horn. The horn that wasn't so high, that was Iraq. Because Iran is a little stronger. His horn is coming up last. He's stronger than Iraq. And Donald Trump, the one that can fight Iran. And Bush fought Iraq, and he broke his horn. See, you got to break his two horns. See, the higher horn came up last, and that's Iran. And that's going to be Donald Trump going to break Iran horn. Most likely, if it's time for the fight Iran. because we have three kings. Like I said before, we have three kings in the reign right now, since from 9/11. This is when all this started. Beast started from 9/11. The United States and Britain, that was the first beast. That's when it started. And some people may believe it started hundreds of years ago. All that's not true. The Lord was talking about the end time. You know, all these false prophets be lying to you. They don't understand that they are deceived. But all it started from 9/11. That's when the seal was opened up and Bush went to war. That's when the trumpet sounded. But like I said, Bush defeated Iraq. He broke the first horn of the reign. Now they got one more horn to be broken. It's Iran. Bush broke Iraq horn. And now one more horn to be broken is Iran. And Donald Trump, I think he's that mighty king that will break Iran horn. You say in verse 22 said, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for his four kingdoms, shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. See, when the United States horn be broken, four of them gonna stand up. That's gonna make the third beast. Third beast gonna have four heads. I explained it before in my other video. And the Bible said, verse 23 said, in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgression are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding of dark sentence shall stand up. That's the Antichrist, the false prophet. This is what a lot of people don't see, but this is the Antichrist, the false prophet. You're going to get with those 10 horns when the 10 horns show up. All right, turn to Daniel chapter 11 and verse 2. Talk about Donald Trump, but first it's talking about a reign. But they got three kings, but the fourth king will be far rich. In verse 2 it says, and now will I show thee the truth, behold, thou shalt stand up yet three kings in Persia. Persia is a reign. You can look it up in the dictionary. And the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength through his riches he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And verse 3 said, and a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. See, that's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing according to his will. He will do according to his will when he get in office. He's a mighty king. He speaks like no other man that ran for president before. You never seen a man spoke like Donald Trump, because he spoke about all the corruption was going on in America and around the world. You know, other president, man that ran for president spoke like Donald Trump. So he's a mighty king that will stand up. He stand up all against the New World Order. He's standing up alone by himself against the New World Order. And no man could do that. See, God setting up Donald Trump, you know, to be that mighty king. That's what it looked like. If it's time to fight Iran, he will be that mighty king. And verse 4 said, when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others besides those. See, the kingdom will be plucked up after they fight Iran. See, probably gonna be war here. You know, like I was saying before, this kingdom will be plucked up. But he gonna defeat Iran. You know, he gonna defeat these terrorists. But that's God's doing, because we done fell into sin. You know, can't rule the world when you fall into sin. You know, we got homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and all that stuff, adultery, fornication, all different sin, lying and stealing, backbiting, everything here in America. Everything goes like a wrestling match. You know, we done fell into sin. We don't want nothing to do with God anymore. So that's when you all have to come down. It's like all nation, all down to during the years, kingdom, they all falls, they all come down, because they all fall into sin. Just like Rome, since way back then, they all fell. So that's what's going to happen to the U.S. And 4 of them, when the U.S. fall, 4 of them will stand up for their kingdom. And one of them will come out from them. It will be the false prophet. They'll come out from there and get with the 10 horn. And that's going to be the last and final beast. See, the third beast going to have 4 heads. And when the 10 horns show up after that, in the latter time of their kingdom, a king of fish continent will show up, will come out from those 3 beasts who he was with. He's going to get with the 10 horn. And that's going to be the final beast. With the 10 horn, the false prophet with the 10 horn. Will last for, after they kill the 2 witnesses, it will go on for 3.5 years. They're going to set up, they kill the 2 witnesses, and then we'll set up their abomination and make it desolate. You know, God going to turn their back on Jerusalem. You know, turn his face from Jerusalem. Jerusalem going to go into captivity, because nobody wants to obey God no more. They're going to kill the 2 witnesses. They ain't going to want to accept God's word, except a few, the very elect. So Jerusalem going to go into captivity. And the first Babylon went into captivity 70 years. But this time it's going to be 3.5 years. They're going to go into captivity, because they don't want to obey God. See, in the first Babylon, they didn't want to obey God. God put them in the captivity 70 years. You see, all those prophets was against Jeremiah, all the priests and prophets. You read Jeremiah chapter 26. It tells you, you know, Jeremiah was the one that's telling the truth, but the people didn't believe him, wanted to throw him in prison, wanted to kill him. You know, that's just how it is. In the last days, it'll be the same thing. You know, a person that be telling the truth, they don't want to hear it now. And it's like what Donald Trump is saying, they don't even want to hear that. You know, these establishment, all this news media and the establishment news media, 501c3 radio station, television station, 501c3 churches, all that. They don't want to hear it no more, because they deceive. They'll live up that money. That's what it's all about. That's why they're speaking everything with Donald Trump, saying make believe everything he says evil, but he just be telling the truth. But they don't want to hear that. They lies about everything, and the people believe it because they are deceived. The whole world will be deceived also. You know, but that's just how it is. But God's word have to be fulfilled, and God says who He wants to be king here in America, president. You know, and nothing you can do about it. He sets up, put down, and you can do whatever He wants. God ruled in the kingdom of man. That's what I wanted to show y'all in Daniel chapter 5 and verse 21. I think it's in chapter 4 too. I think verse 32 and verse 25. Chapter 4. So you can read that for yourself. God ruled in the kingdom of man. So may God bless y'all and give y'all wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Thank you.